Brown, Horford, and Udoka have already reached out to him, so he's feeling that Boston love. And Perky said he wants to bring that 18 back to Boston.
Yeah. Turn that up, Ethan. Get some DLR, David Lee Roth and Van Halen. Unchained. Celtics now unchained, and Marcus Spears talking about how excited Brogdon is to be with the Celtics. And I think that's really good for the narrative for the Celtics, because you've heard me say, when a team goes further in the playoffs, there are free agents who say, you know what, I'm the missing piece, and I'm going to talk to my agent about potentially going there. Get eliminated in the first round, like, say, last year when they lost to the Nets, you're like, oh, boy, they've got a hornet's nest going on there. So kudos to Ime Udoka, Brad Stevens, for really just kind of keeping their temperament with the team that seemed like it was just off the rails and hugging Kyrie on free time. And now they're getting things done. And to just, look how quick they got it done. Like, get the business done. We'll get into the Kyrie and KD stuff here in a little bit.
Yeah.
But you're showing the league that there's no time for games. That we're serious about getting this done, and I like the Brogdon deal.
The foundational pieces were there. Brad Stevens obviously has a knack for getting the right ancillary supplemental pieces around those guys. That's continuing to evolve. We love where it's going. Real quick on the Draymond Green, Marcus Smart thing.
Yeah.
I was uncomfortable when Steve Kerr brought it up before the finals started, even though I do like the comparison in terms of Green adds a lot to what Smart does, to what that team does, and Smart adds similar things. What's easier for Draymond Green is, though, primarily, he came into Golden State. He was drafted after Steph Curry, after Klay
So
Thompson.
he knew what his role was going to be.
So he kind of came in. Those guys had already established themselves. He knew what his role was. Marcus Smart was drafted 3 years before Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum is better. It was 2 years before Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown is better, but that leadership component, it's not as seamless. It's a little more complicated with the Celtics because Smart was there.
Smart's coming off of Rondo, right? He's coming in. Rondo's still here. And so you're like, clearly Rondo is the guy. And then when Rondo's gone, it's like there's a purgatory, if you will, and things start to reformulate, and then you start to see the run with the Browns and Tatum.
And it would be better if the best player was the leader, but Smart always sort of holds on to it, which isn't the worst thing. Like, I'm glad he wants to lead and thinks he has something to offer in that regard, but it's not as seamless, it's not as smooth when Draymond Green came in after Curry and after Thompson. So that's a dynamic that the Celtics are still working through to this day.
Yeah, KJ and Dondero, good Sunday morning to you. Thank you so much for being here. 617-779-7937. Let's go to Scott in Cumberland. He thinks that Marcus Smart may potentially be on the block. Scott, thanks for calling KJ and Dondero.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for what you do. Happy 4th. Yeah, I think this trade right here, you'll probably see Brogdon first 25, 30 games to what you had said earlier, one of you guys had said earlier, probably will come off the bench. Then at that point, barring any unforeseen injuries, Smart comes off the bench, Brogdon starts, and then you may see Smart as part of a package deal mid-season, again, barring any unforeseen injuries, because I don't think Brogdon has played a full season healthy.
Yeah, not since his rookie season.
Okay. So, so then why, if that's the case, why would I trade away Marcus Smart? If I have major injury questions surrounding Malcolm Brogdon, why would you then just insert him into the starting lineup, say the team is yours, and trade Marcus Smart? That, if Scott's thing, if what he just outlined comes true, that's a borderline disaster for the Celtics. It's one thing if Smart, they try Brogdon a few games as a starter, if there's an injury and he gets put in there and he does well. But you trade Marcus Smart, if they start trading or those rumblings surface, that is a disaster, and I do not want any part of that.
So that's where I could see it, because if your team on the roll, you're doing well, you're establishing yourself as 1, 2, 3 in the East, right? That means that you're going to have home games all the way until you see one of the final two teams. Then you would say, well, why would you trade away something? Why would you trade away continuity? But again, and this is, you ever play the game, marry, carnal knowledge, kill? I can't say the middle one.
Yeah.
Okay, so you would say, right now there is just a marriage with Brogdon, right? So who gets the carnal knowledge and who do you kill? Is it Derek White or is it Marcus Smart? And I think at some point you might kill Marcus Smart because you just got Derek White last year. You gave up a first-round pick this year for Derek White. So you have to say, and Derek White cost a little bit more. Not that the money's the super important thing, but can you get more value dealing Marcus Smart than you would trying to keep him and White kind of doing something together off of the bench where they kind of do the same thing, and they're not really super great at the same thing, which is scoring.
I don't want value. I don't want to talk about value. I don't want to talk
I'm trying to stay away from it. I'm just saying in a game of marry, carnal knowledge, and kill, you know that Brogdon just got married to the Celtics. So now who gets the carnal knowledge and who gets the kill?
Marcus Smart. I mean, it will be the best thing for the Celtics if Smart continues to produce as a point guard. The problem is, and just going back to the Draymond Green point you made, I think it's easier for Draymond Green to be that type of player as a forward. As a guard, especially a point guard, that's not usually the demeanor that I envision for a point guard. Because what you want Marcus Smart to become half Draymond Green or half Patrick Beverley and half Jason Kidd. That's like a tough combination to really exist in.
I could see him being that, but those three people you don't think of scoring, and Marcus Smart does think about scoring.
He does think about scoring, but that's what Ime Udoka is there for. You know, look, Marcus Smart transitioned and turned himself into a pretty damn good shooter.
Yeah.
He wasn't that early in his career. I like to think that Ime Udoka can get Smart to do the things that he needs him to do, i.e. be more of a facilitator because he is a good passer and see the game a little differently and be more that point guard they need, especially when you have Brown and Tatum and the scoring that they're going to have now with Brogdon and Gallinari off the bench.
Well, with Smart, here's the thing. I think if you're counting up his numbers of what's going to matter in the game, if he can get you 2 steals, 1 steal is possibly a 4-point turn, right? You stop them from scoring 2, you grab 2 or 3 yourself. He gets a couple of those a game. He gets in there and out-rebounds somebody who's not so he gets in there and doing the rebound thing. You know, he's going to get a couple of charges. So Marcus Smart is going to affect points from going on the board. I would rather see that than him attempting to put points on the board. I wouldn't want to be the Celtics at some point saying, wow, we might need 15 from Marcus Smart, and how many shots would that take? Right. So I wouldn't want that. I would be more comfortable with Brogdon being the guy saying, okay, this guy can effectively take 10 shots, knock down 5.
I think everybody needs to take a second here and analyze the good that Marcus Smart. I think we're too focused on the negatives. The good that he has in his arsenal is very beneficial to this team. And if Ime Udoka can tap into that more frequently, then you're going to really have something. Because all of a sudden, Marcus Smart, just because they got Brogdon, they still need Smart. It's not like, oh, they don't need Smart now. Right. They got Brogdon. No.
But then the question is, well, where does Derek White fit in this? 617-779-7937. The text line 37937. It's KJ and Dondero. Let's go to Frankie in Manchester. And I guess in this marry, carnal knowledge kill, he says Marcus Smart gets the kill. Frankie, thanks for joining KJ and Dondero. Go ahead.
Hey, guys. You're also forgetting about Pritchard. Okay, so now we got Pritchard, you got White, you got Brogdon. Marcus Smart is expendable. Trade something for him now, get something, and be done with him. His attitude is horrible.
Okay, so I disagree with everything Frankie just said. Happy 4th. Okay, his attitude at times could use some work. I mean, I don't want to say his attitude's horrible. It's not horrible. His attitude is misplaced at times. It's not horrible.
But
the
sometimes
guy gives
at the
you
wrong
everything
time.
He's got.
Remember Mego when she was out in San Francisco and she noticed the little thing when Derek White had come in game 1 and that there might have been some type of feelings that Marcus Smart had? This team is
which amounted to nothing. That amounted to nothing.
Well, okay, fine, but you also can go back to the bubble Eastern Conference final with the screaming match that went on in the locker room. No one has ever really fessed up to it. But they're like, through voice analysis,
Yeah, look, you're going to need, I know there are negatives there, but I think the positives outweigh the negatives, and I like to think that the coach, who really proved himself this year, can get the positives out of Marcus Smart more frequently. And Frankie's trying to, Peyton Pritchard. Look, I appreciate Peyton Pritchard. He can't play a lick of defense. He tries.
And his offense is now
got a good motor. Yeah. And if he's not making shots, what are you doing with him? So that's not a guy I'm keeping over Marcus Smart. And Malcolm Brogdon hasn't played a full season in how long?
So
he's injury prone. I'm not getting rid of Marcus Smart. No.
It's crazy. We've been on for 30 minutes and haven't even talked about the real big acquisition of Danilo Gallinari. Coming off the bench, because now you clearly have bench scoring. He clearly is a bench player, so this is not someone you're saying, oh, does this guy get in? No, this is going to be maybe your primary scorer off the bench. And if you're saying, okay, if everything's going to be on Gallinari, and this is why I'm saying this about Marcus Smart and everything. How can I best put this? If you can't add to the point total, are you really adding to it when this team really depends on holding teams to under 100? This team now has to have a little bit of Brooklyn Nets in them, right? You've got to put points on you've got to be a 115, 120 scoring team. I think the Celtics have to. I think that's what they realized.
What are you getting at? I don't know. I'm not
that
following.
They have to have more firepower, right? And with Gallinari coming off the bench, that's a good 10 points a game. So, do you want it to all be on him, right? Like, because if we're saying, okay, only Gallinari is the guy giving you points off of the bench, that's why I say Marcus Smart is probably expendable, because you can go get a hybrid guy that may not be as strong at defense, but you've got Robert Williams in a conference that's got all bigs. You got Embiid, you've got Bam Adebayo, so you've got Giannis, and that whole crew, they're all big. So the defensive player of the year really probably for the Celtics has to come from the front court now, because the back courts in the Eastern Conference are not, we'll get into where Kyrie may be going to. There's been news over that overnight. So you're not really worried about a guard-dominant conference where Marcus Smart's use doesn't have the same value as it did, say, when LeBron was in the conference. Or when James Harden, well, you still have Harden or Kyrie. Kyrie looks like he's going to the West. So, again, Marcus Smart may be worth two players.
Look, I'm not saying the door is completely closed on a trade with Marcus Smart. I'm just saying, as of right now, where the Celtics stand, that's not good enough. Now, if you tell me they can get back some all-star caliber big for Marcus Smart, you bring in Malcolm Brogdon, you're going to sign somebody, I guess I'd entertain that. I don't know what, I don't want to just throw smoke out there.
Right.
Who is that? What deal would be out there?
Yeah, I think that's where you get into the season. I think Marcus Smart is here when the season starts. But I also think that you might say, hey, is there a big on a team where, look, they've got to clear stuff or they're not going anywhere? I don't know, maybe a Vucevic may become available if the Bulls can't turn their heads around. Let me just say, they just got Andre Drummond, so there's a little duplication there.
You better get an all-star level guy. I'm not talking Marcus Smart is
but
not.
But you might be able to get two guys that can give you additional scoring off the bench and still not lose the defense that you would get from Derek White.
Yeah, it's dicey. You're taking a real risk if you do something like that.
Well, look with the bench that you still have Grant Williams here. So Grant Williams has the ability to guard the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4. Even depending on who your 5 is. So you have a defender out there who can defend backcourt and front court.
The chance that they would get, if they trade Marcus Smart, the chance that they would get somebody back that would be on the same level, even if it's a big on the same level of Marcus Smart, is small.
Yeah.
I would rather them keep Marcus Smart and then go sign with that mid-level exception or the TPE, go sign another big that's available. Yeah. Thomas Bryant or one of those guys that you can get with that type of money. Because I don't think if they trade Smart, they're going to get back. It never happens, really, when you trade an all-star type guy like that. You're never going to get back equal value, and the Celtics would then miss out on an opportunity to have as much talent as possible.
But I think Marcus Smart's value increases, especially to the Western Conference. I said this earlier last season before they got to the trade deadline when you didn't know where the Celtics team was going, to say, hey, look, you've got a conference with Ja Morant and Chris Paul and Devin Booker, and you want to be able to see Steph Curry a few times. You've got Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole. You've got all these guards that are it's so guard heavy. Donovan Mitchell in the West. And, is it going to be Westbrook? Could it potentially be Kyrie? Marcus Smart suddenly becomes that gun for hire that you say, hey, his value is greater, and someone may give up something greater than you would expect just because they need Marcus Smart that bad in that conference.
Maybe, but usually I just don't think, or I'm not sure, that if the Celtics ever traded Marcus Smart, that they would get back a player that was better or equal to Marcus Smart.
Not equal defensively.
Most likely, Marcus Smart, in whatever trade is made, would be the best player in the deal. Most likely.
No, defensively, yes.
I think overall.
I don't think so.
So what's the deal? You got to talk to me about.
You're trading him for offense, additional offense off the bench, something that can also be supplemented in if you're going to a different lineup. Gallinari's got size to him, so you may, if you're playing the Bucks, you want to have someone in there big that can kind of push some people around back and forth. You may need an additional gun off of the bench that can do that. Maybe a sharpshooter who can hit critical threes when you know that Pritchard isn't getting it done.
If they can get something,
Pritchard may be even part of the deal.
If they can get something for Marcus Smart that gives the Celtics a player that is equal or around equal to Marcus Smart, where you can't definitively say, oh, Smart's the best player in that trade. Like, I don't want the Celtics to make any deal where the guy they're sending away is the best player in the trade.
Oh, okay,
like,
so where does
the Malcolm Brogdon trade all day long because you got the best player.
Right.
When you're on the precipice of a championship, you don't make those trades. So you make the trades where the best players come into your team.
So if you're Indiana, you gave up virtually something very valuable, the best player in the trade, for really a Tice sandwich and some Naismith cheese on top. So if the other side of that coin is, hey, what's more important to the team at that time? If it's losing, why are we gonna continue to stay with this guy that's getting like $20 million a year? Why would we stay with him? So maybe Smart isn't the best name in the deal overall, and maybe historically from an offensive perspective. There's not going to be a better defensive player, and I don't know why you would be making a deal for defense when that's what you already do. So, again, I think in this and if you join in 617-779-7937, text line 37937, it's KJ and Dondero. In a scenario, and we'll even ask Ethan, the producer, in the marry, carnal knowledge, or kill, Brogdon, Smart, White. Who's the bride right now?
I feel like it's hard because, like you mentioned, White.
Who's the bride? Who are the Celtics marrying? It's Brogdon. Brogdon just got the ring put on his finger.
They're married to him, yeah.
Okay, so Smart or White? Who gets the carnal knowledge treatment? Who gets killed?
Look,
I like Smart more, to be honest.
I know you like him, but Derek White was just brought here, and it's an Udoka guy.
Why are we even playing this game? We don't need to play this game.
Because we play this game in real life.
But we don't need to do this.
I get it.
You're going to need all three of them to win a championship, most likely. You brought Brogdon in to supplement them.
Okay, so
you're going to need all of them.
Okay, so a kill may be strong. So marry, carnal knowledge, trade. Which one do you trade White?
Well,
do you trade Smart?
Why are we playing this game? We don't need to play this game.
We play these games every day.
If I have to trade one, I'm trading Derek White.
Oh my God.
He's the third best guy.
I mean, I don't disagree with that. I just don't think he's come in, and I don't think he has the value in return.
I don't want the Celtics to be a part of any trade where they're trading away the best player in the deal. Do you understand?
Need more offense. I mean, Smart. You would say between Smart and White, how many points a game could you get out of them consistently combined? 15. Consistently?
If you can bring me a trade where Marcus Smart isn't necessarily the best player in the deal, then I'll think about it. The Celtics were 2 wins away from a championship. I'm not getting rid of a guy that was key to that run. I'm not.
Business, never personal.
I'd have to agree with him on that. Like, you need a monster offer.
You need an offer. Wait. A monster
You're
offer.
acting like Marcus Smart was wearing one of the All-Star uniforms over the last couple of years. That's not the case. We're not talking about trading an all-star Marcus Smart for a player who needs to be an all-star. I'm not saying that you're going to be swapping all-stars, but you might be swapping points for defense. If there's a guy who can say, you know what, I can give you 12 and 5 a game, would you not take that over Marcus Smart off the bench? 12 and 5 a game off the bench?
Like Miles Turner? You're gonna go back to.
I don't want to go to that Miles Turner lane.
If you go, you can't. I don't know if you go back to Indiana, but if you were going to tell me, like this is a trade,
like maybe Marvin Bagley III, right? You get youth, you get size, you get a rim protector who can give you points if they're willing to go because I think he stayed with Detroit, and no one is expecting Detroit to suddenly jump out of the water and become this amazing team. So you might say, hey, here's a young guy. His contract is going to be more favorable. I don't want to discuss contracts, but he's a rim protector, so he gives Rob Williams a breathing time because I think it's going to be very tough to see Rob Williams trying to play 40 minutes a game, not knowing where he is with this injury and the surgery. So if you can get that off of the bench with Gallinari scoring as well, and you got Derek White who could chip in a couple of points, maybe Pritchard gets lucky, Grant Williams may get lucky. Now you have a bench that you say when the whistle blows, you're not losing anything at the rim. You may be gaining some points. And again, when you've got to deal with Embiid, you don't want one guy to just constantly have to do it. All right, KJ and Dondero. Remember, you can listen to WEEI on your smart speaker. Just say play 93.7 WEEI. We'll talk about the Kyrie situation as well as KD next. Thank you for starting your Sunday with KJ and Dondero on WEEI.